Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fab's Music Cafe. And this time we have a great guest. Dear friend of mine, fantastic producer, amazing guitar player, Josh Smith. Hey, Josh. How's it going, man?
What's happening, Fab? Thanks for having me, buddy.
Well, it's funny because Josh and I don't live too far apart from each other. And we cannot do this thing like in the same room. It's just like very crazy time. So you're one of those cats that are blessed to have his own recording studio in his house, or actually maybe the other way around, your house in the recording studio. So what you been doing in these days? Are you keeping yourself busy?
I am. I'm keeping myself busy. I was in the middle of a few projects, so luckily I was able to do some mixing and sending stuff out for mastering, you know, and checking mixes and hearing things from home. I had some guitar sessions going on, so that's stuff I don't have to leave the house for. I'm just recording. You know, I've taken the time to kind of clean up the studio a little bit. I ordered actually a little bit of camera gear that I'm trying to figure out how to mount in the live room and set up a little better camera situation. It was always kind of a plan for down the road, and certainly this situation gave me the kick in the butt to get it going quicker, you know.
Well, actually, you know what? I've been chatting with a lot of common friends and colleagues. And funny enough, it seems like that all guitar players are diving into that direction. So kind of like getting the whole camera thing set up. And it was just like, by talking to them, I realized that, you know, was in everyone's plan. I guess, you know, this kind of like a force to stay at home, and kind of like give us that push to kind of like, hey, you know, guys, it's no audio no more. You need to show something. So just get on board with it and start tweaking, you know?
It's because we have such big egos that we're craving people telling us how good we are. So we have to find better ways to post videos of ourselves.
Well, you can always use like a multi-screen, all of you, like 4 or 5 of you, and just
exactly
doing, you know, multi-guitar laying and all of that. Oh, that's good.
No, I always thought eventually with the studio, I would get some cameras that I can mount up out of the way in the live room where they were completely, you know, non-intrusive. So when people were here making records, if I was producing, it was something else I could offer to them to add value. Like, hey, we can record your entire sessions, documentary style. Also, maybe you can stream a concert while you're here. You can, especially now, it's like streaming concerts. That's important. Maybe we can make some, you know, a living that way. So this gave me, the push to kind of, you know what, let's start experimenting. I'll get a couple things, see if the concept works, and then maybe I'll dive in all the way.
Oh, that's great. And if you don't mind me asking, what were you working on? Anything like super exciting for the fans out there, and mainly probably for the guitar guys?
Anything super exciting? Well, I'm in the middle of producing a couple records at the moment. Joe Bonamassa and I just produced a record for this lady, Joanna Connor, who's an excellent blues guitarist. So just been listening to some of those mixes and getting that ready for mixing. And then I just finished producing a record for a young band called the Soul Miners Union. And we finished their mixes and sent them off to mastering. My guy, Eric Boulanger at the Bakery Mastering. Oh. And he's still working. So he just mastered it the other day. So I was listening to those. I had a guitar session for a friend of mine in New Orleans, kind of a jazz thing. I had to play that yesterday. You know, just random things like that. You know, I've always got something to do back here.
Well, that's great, because at least you keep busy. And I know the last time that we got together, you were telling me about all your plans for, you know, go to Europe, and I mean a trip to Nashville and the European tours and all of that. So I guess, you know, at least the European touring is kind of like on hold right now, right?
Well, yeah, I would have been in Nashville last week up until about a few days ago producing the Eric Gales record with Joe. So that got pushed back till September, hopefully, you know, fingers crossed. And then I was supposed to leave for Europe in 9 days, in which I would have been gone 6, almost 7 weeks, all over Europe. And of course, all that got canceled. So I'm just home, you know, but that's the same boat everybody's in at the moment, you know.
I know. It's just it's a kind of like a crazy situation where I was talking earlier with Joe Louis Walker, and I was like, dude, it's amazing, because I would never thought during my life as a musician that in the middle of April, I would call you, Gibbons, and a couple of other guys around this time of the day, and everybody will pick up the phone and able to talk.
Yeah. Yeah,
that was insane if you think about
I think a lot of touring musicians' families are probably tired of having them at home at the moment because they're not used to us being here for such long, extended periods of time.
it. You know, I was just going downstairs before starting this conversation with you, and the local news here in Los Angeles came out. It's like where crime rates, it's actually crime has been going down in Los Angeles,
Mhm.
but domestic abuse and fights is skyrocketing.
Of
So it
course.
makes you wonder, you know, forced house arrest. You know, it's not always happy. Well, I know that you've been working on some stuff for yourself too. Do you
Yeah.
mind share? You know, what are your actual plans for you? I know that. I mean, obviously, you know, we all work, as producers with a bunch of different artists and all of that, and that's actually is a great trait because it gets you the opportunity to expand your horizon and never to get bored with one thing only. But there's nothing like when you get down to play your own shit, you know.
Yeah.
So, what Josh Smith is doing as far for himself right now?
Well, I'm in the middle of my next kind of normal album, my main style, the blues thing. So I'm about halfway done with that. Hoping to bring it out at the beginning of next year.
Mhm.
Um, and I have a lot of new gear stuff that I'm designing with a bunch of companies that I've been working on actually for almost 18 months, 2 years. That I can't say what the companies are because they're coming out at NAMM. I'm really excited about that. And then I have this record again that is done, and I'm negotiating a record deal for the album. It's kind of a surprise album. It's a style that I've never done, is all I'll say. It's the most proud I've ever been of a record. It's completely done. So I'm waiting to get this deal worked out with actually a pretty special, iconic label. It's a very stylized, specialized project. So we'll see if that happens. It's something I want to put out desperately, and it's taking everything I have in me not to put it out now during this time, so I can hear people's reaction. Everybody can listen to it and take it in right now, but I want to do it right. It's something I'm really proud of. So we'll see. So I got a bunch of little things like that going on, and of course my live album and Blu-ray just came out a couple months ago, and I'm still waiting on that to process to be on like iTunes and Amazon digitally, the video, because releasing a movie is incredibly harder than releasing an album.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's taking iTunes and Amazon 90 days, 2 months to somehow certify it to be available digitally. So I'm still waiting on that.
Wow, it looks like you got more product to just put out there, you know, than actually days than not to deal with it. Wow, that's insane. Well, I'm glad that at least you're keeping it upbeat and keeping active and keeping music flowing. Well, I have a couple of questions for you. That these are the questions that we're engaging all of our guests with.
Okay.
I mean, everybody knows what kind of guitar player are you, besides being a good one, but your approach and all of that. Can you mention like three musicians, not necessarily guitar player, that you think were paramount for your becoming the musicians or the guitar player that you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. If I had to just pick three musicians on any instrument, most important to me becoming me, it would be probably Albert King,
Hmm.
just because he grabbed me in this way when I was a kid that just destroyed me. Um, it was the most like emotional response I'd ever had to anybody's music. It was like, there wasn't thinking involved. When I heard him play guitar, something grabbed me, and it's like, okay, that's right. Um, Charlie Parker was equally as important when I first heard Charlie Parker and started to learn about bebop and jazz, and just his entire this vocabulary that he had was never ending, but he played with so much soul and with this beautiful tone, and it was swinging so hard, and that was always really important to me. So probably Albert King, Charlie Parker, and then actually, believe it or not, Sam Cooke was really, really, really important to me. Um, the way that he sang, the simplicity of his phrasing and of his songs, but everything that came out of his mouth sounded almost like I thought of it before he did it. It was so perfect. It was just this thing that was like, wow, you couldn't have done that any better than that. And I was always trying to bring that kind of phrasing into my improvisation. So that's a singer, a saxophone player, and a guitar player.
Well, that's, well, at the end of the day, they all have, these are all musicians that have a very, very, very strong voice. I mean, voice in terms of tone and the delivery. And it's funny, uh, the the fact that you bring in up Sam Cooke in regards of vocalists, because by your style, the first approach of what comes back feels like that, if you have to pick a singer, you will go to somebody that will have even more chops, more runs, more
Yeah.
everything. And actually, you know, you're right. It's like not basic because there's nothing basic about that, but it's very simple, but so accurate and so heartfelt. And it's funny how somebody, I mean, him particularly, influenced so many different style of music and singers. Uh, I've been, working with R&B soul artists and a lot of hard rock dudes too. I mean, not necessarily from the younger school, and there is none of them that live out Sam Cooke when it comes out to, you know, one of the main influences as a singer. It's just exactly for that reason. So it's great. And now that you bring it that about, I'm going to try to pay more attention to some of the stuff that you do in regards of some of the phrasing, because I'm really curious to hear that. Because every time that somebody mentioned that name, I'm start to thinking what they do musically. I'm like, damn, you know, I get it. And I'm not saying in terms of like you're copying something. It's just that,
Yeah.
there are some influences that,
It
go.
definitely comes out more in my guitar, I think, than in the way that I sing. Because I can't sing like Sam Cooke. I wish I could. I'd give up the guitar if I could.
Nobody
But
can. And
but
that's,
it was his intent. And also there's something about I hear with Sam Cooke, I hear obviously there's so much soul and heart, but also I hear like the amount of time he probably spent as a kid in his room singing by himself. And that's always really inspiring to me, like someone who works really hard on his craft. I read Peter Guralnick's biography when I was a kid of Sam Cooke, and he talked a lot about how obsessed Sam was with being great and how hard he worked. And I'm always trying to find a balance because I'm obsessive when it comes to pushing myself. I want to be good. I want to learn new things. I just love everything about music and guitar, and I'm always pushing to learn something new. But I don't want to lose like that feeling of it's coming from here and it's all from the heart and improvised. And I think he perfectly straddled that line of he worked really hard, was brilliant in his technical ability, but never lost the ability to emotionally connect either.
yeah, but you know what? It's actually, it's great, the fact that you're pointing this out, because this is actually of a very good help from a lot of the younger musicians out there. Uh, because I notice that sometimes our musicians that do not play our main instrument that give us the most inspiration. Because when it comes down to somebody that's like a great guitar player, you being a guitar, I mean, I'm not saying necessarily you, but guitar player listening to a great guitar player, sure, I'm not saying that there's nothing to learn there, but probably there is too much to learn. Then becomes like, okay, what it is. While on somebody else, it's just like you take in the musicality of it and whatever the delivery, and then sometimes, if you're lucky to make it successfully, you apply that to your own instruments, and that where it gets really interesting. Like from myself, I mean, with all the bass player that I love, I think the majority of my inspiration for my playing in terms of the grooves and runs like that don't come from bass players, but come from drummers and horn players. So whatever that means. And then again, by having this conversation often with colleagues, and it's really amazing how that element comes out. So it's another invitation for you guys, at least more of the younger musicians out there. Listen to everything, because if you're a guitar player, if you're a drummer, you don't have to listen or just to go out only to your own king. Just listen to all the other guys in the band. Not only
Yeah.
would make you better, but also will allow when you play with the other people, kind of like to pay more attention to what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm always trying to listen to everything with as much of an open mind as possible. I want to know when I hear something that gets my attention, I don't want to just learn it. I want to know why it got my attention. Why did I like this? So it could be something only completely from the heart. It could be, could technically be something that doesn't make sense or is messed up, or it could be a weird tone that isn't naturally what I like, or it could be something very technical or harmonic. But I want to know why. Why did this get my attention? Why did I naturally react to this or like it? So I've always kind of listened to music that way.
That's and that's why you are the guy that you are. I have one more question before we're just say goodbye for today, at least, and for you guys, please. Josh, out of his out of his own room, music room, he's got a great, fantastic studio right here in Southern California. Is putting together something for you later. That's a customized performance, not necessarily something that you usually would see him do or expect him to do when you see him on stage.
It's
And
not something you'd ever see me do normally.
which is great, because that's the reason. And we're counting on you guys, because again, all us in the music community ended up in losing so much with this, and not only us. I mean, pretty much everyone working out there got penalized with this. Musicians sometimes, kind of like left there, to part on this. But we have a very, very strong community. We're trying to support each other, and obviously that couldn't happen with the fans. So I'm inviting you to join us and check out Josh performance later. You can check out the link here, and ensure that you're going to have a treat, and that will give you the chance to truly support a real, true great artist. So before we're calling it off for the day, I have one more question for you, which is always the final question on the show. Now, let's say, I don't know, next week, 2 weeks from now, month from now, a month and a half, whatever, you get in the call, maybe from me. Says, hey, Josh, you know what? It's over. Bullshit is over. We're ready to go. We can go out, whatever it is, free to go. Have you ever thought what you're going to be doing right in that moment?
Well,
The first thing that you would do after such a call.
Besides playing, hopefully doing a gig with other people, like playing with my friends, it'd probably be going to eat some good fried chicken and go to the movies. I really miss going to the movies. I also really, really miss sports. It's driving me crazy. I'm an enormous sports guy. So it's driving me nuts not having any sports to watch.
Well, there you go, guys. That's Josh Schmidt. And now you know what his true passions are. Anyways, once again, Fab's Music Cafe, Josh Schmidt, thank you so much for joining us today. You guys, please make sure you check out this performance and support this great artist. Once again, follow us on Instagram and on Facebook so you can see the listing of all the upcoming guests. You can watch the show right here and subscribe to the YouTube channel and on all guitar networks. So once again, stay home, stay safe, support the art, and thank you. Thank you, Josh. Bye, guys.